Greetings, everyone. I'm giving you the opportunity to walk in to my counseling room, find a seat, one closest to the door, so that as soon as you have your session, you can leave so someone else can come in. This is a very important moment. If you want to sit up, you can. If you want to lay in the chair that is provided for you, you can do that. This is very important, and this session is free, okay? And I hope you get something from it. The first thing I'm going to tell you today is that it's very important for you to guard your energy. It's very important for you to protect your energy. Same thing. Guard, protect, whichever word you want to use. At this time, one of the things that we need more than anything else is peace. And so, as you go through your day, what is remaining of the day, and as you face tomorrow, if that happens to be a blessing for you, that you're able to see the new day, understand all kinds of things are happening in our lives, and we have to attend to our mental health and our spiritual well-being, not to mention our physical. See, at this time, body, mind, and spirit has to be merged. Because if you take care of your emotional needs and you ignore the physical needs or the spiritual needs, there will be no balance. Okay, folks? There will be no balance. So, let me give you an example of how you protect your spirit. Because it doesn't take much for people to go off these days. And it doesn't take much for you to lose your equilibrium, your balance. If you don't get your act together, you're going to lose not just money, not just friends, not just peace. You're losing yourself. Okay? Now, let me start with myself. Let me put myself on this chair and I'll share with you what I have to say to myself. I have to say to myself, I'm not taking on anybody's problem because I got my own. And I don't even see issues in my life as problem. I just see them as opportunity for me to find new solutions, or they are stepping stones to get to where I need to go. And in the past, I offered myself freely and openly to everyone that needed me. That means you're picking a runway from home, giving you problems as a teenager. I'm staying on the phone with you all night. And then I have to get up and go to work. If you have your financial problems and you're building your house and you claim you don't have money to pay your worker, I don't have it either. I'll just go borrow it and give it to you. If you got man problems, I'll never tell you to leave your man, but you can call me and I will encourage you and I would look beyond the dark cloud and give you the silver lining. So my life belonged to other people. And you see, I offered myself, so you can't judge these ones who called up on me to offer myself because I made it available. I became, their counselor, pretty much like I'm offering to do for you today. But over time, I realized that when I was going through some of the most serious things, usually I had to go through it alone. That's not to say that there are not folks that eventually would be there to hear the aftermath or the story afterwards. But a lot of times I go through things in life and I have to face it by myself. Even with the people who are most plugged in my life, who are there for me, sometimes the universe removes them. They're at work, They're doing something that I have to face this thing and deal with it on my own. I have to come up with the decision on my own. And so when you find yourself having to make decisions on your own, and sometimes no one can help you, deal with these issues, and then you start telling yourself that people can't live without you, they can live without you. It's not that you don't want to be there for other people, but you have to stop telling yourself that this one can't do without me. Oh, this has a crisis and I'm going to come to answer the crisis. It's not your problem. It is not for you to solve sometimes. When you can, you solve it. But if you're going to always be there for other folks, and in the point of doing that, you get burnt out, it really doesn't make any sense. So even for your children, you love them, even your partner, you love them. But there are times when you're going to have to take care of you. It's called self-care. Now, with everything that is happening in the world, everything is scaled back. Every comfort, everything that would distract you is scaled back. No, you're not being distracted by anything. You're forced to stay home. You're forced to deal with the problems you have at home. You're forced to face the kids. You're forced to look at your relationship. You're forced to deal with all these issues that come up. It's not like they were not there all along, but now you have no excuse. You can't escape it. You're gonna have to face it. And at this time, as you feel burnt out, and you feel like you got no peace, that you're losing yourself in the process of sharing and giving of yourself to others, you're losing yourself. It's not that time. So at this time, you're going to guard who you hang out with, who you talk with, not just what you're eating, what you're wearing, but you're guarding your spirit. And anything that is acting as a trigger for you, you got to remove yourself from it. Okay? So if you're in a situation where you physically cannot separate from those triggers, you've got to find a place inside where you go and try to make a decision. Is this situation building me, helping me to be a better person? Is this situation allowing me to soar to new heights? Is this person or this situation, more negative than positive? And you got to make that decision, because sometimes we hold on to things and people that doesn't help us to grow. And these ones are in our life and we somehow feel like they need us when they really don't need you. Now, you separate yourself from anything that doesn't build you, that doesn't nourish you spiritually or physically. Separate from the things that you know does not give you peace. And it doesn't take long for you to figure this out. Something as simple as paying a bill nowadays can cause you so much stress. Just waiting 1 hour for someone to answer the phone and another hour to dispute claims that you might have that doesn't make sense. These things are stressors that if you don't find a way how to handle, this is the time you have to learn how to handle yourself, not worry about somebody else. A lot of things are happening in the world. And a lot, no matter how much you talk about it or you cry about it, you personally cannot change. You can't really change people. You have to change yourself. And as we go out in this season where we especially if you're Jamaican, you see everybody, is now out there doing good, seeking to do good. That's wonderful. But sometimes in the process of people saying that they're doing good, they're harming others. And in the process of attempting to do good for other people, sometimes you're harming yourself. Do you understand? Now, for me, based on my experience as an African woman, I went out there and I felt like share your story and I have no regrets. And I get so riled up and so angry about what goes on in my community or goes on in, Mama Africa, until I realize one thing. It's not selfish to start turning all that attention and love upon yourself. It's not selfish to examine what is important in my own life. It's not selfish, because you can talk all the talk and you walk the walk too. If no one is walking with you, what can you accomplish? If no one is listening to you, what can you really accomplish? Nothing. So sometimes even your best intention is thwarted, Sometimes the aim and the purpose, is not to have malice with anybody. But in the process of trying to be amicable with everybody, you lose yourself. You lose your sanity. You can't afford to lose your sanity. What is it that you want to do in your life? What is it that when you do this particular thing, or if you're able to do this thing, it'll bring you joy, it'll bring you peace, it'll bring you love. And hopefully the love for yourself is most important before you can share it with anybody else. I'm tired of talking about the bad things in the world, because there's still a lot of good things. I'm tired of talking about the inevitable, because you can't really change it from just talking about it. And unfortunately, there are not enough people in the world wanting these kinds of change. Anything that is here that is problematic, when the world wants it to go away, it goes away. A small group of people, a handful of people, can drastically change the whole world if they want it bad enough. And so I'd like to move on. And that doesn't mean that if someone is going through something and want to have a discussion about it, a particular individual or particular, topic or issue waiting for solution, I'm okay to talk about these things. But I'm saying, as I do so, I'm guarding myself. I'm not crying and getting depressed about other person's problems anymore. There's no point, because everything that we go through in life has its purpose. So I can share it with you. I can cry about it, but I have to get to the point where I don't cry anymore. And I'm going to encourage you that, when someone else is crying, they don't need you crying with them. They need you to listen to them and perhaps help them, ask them questions, because you're not giving any solution to anybody's problem. You should ask questions that help them to think, because people are coming to you for the answer. They're coming to you, the wrong person, because the answer is in all of us. Every problem we have, we can solve it ourselves, until you get to that point where you understand that this issue that I'm facing is not John or Susan's situation to solve. Perhaps they can be a listening ear. You can, just oppose some arguments between each other. But ultimately, you have to decide. If you're in an abusive situation, for example, and you share your stories with me, and I am a very good listener and I can say a bunch of stuff to rile you up, but the moment I get off that phone or get out of your presence, until you decide this thing that is happening to me, I have to stop it. I can't stop it for you. Whatever it is you don't want in your life anymore, I could make all the suggestions. I could even give you the funds that you need to go take care of it. Until you really want it that badly, you will always have that as an issue or a problem. Let's put that in quotation. And with everything that's going on, it's so stressful. It's impacting the whole world. It's not just me as a woman, as a Black woman. It's affecting all women. It's affecting men. It's affecting nations. It's people from all walks of life are affected by all kinds of things. And we don't know what people are going through. We just assume. Sometimes you see, someone who's well made up and looks so beautiful. And if you were a fly on the wall, you would see that is all a facade. So many of us are wearing facades. Giving the appearance, going on the gram and giving the appearance that everything is so beautiful. And it isn't. And many of us are jealous of other people's life. If you understood what they were going through, you would understand that there's nothing to be jealous about. So you focus on yourself, focus on your own issues, deal with your own. And if you want to be there for others, be there in a capacity where you're not trying to take on their problems. You're not take it on. You hear something happening to somebody and the person is hurt and angry and you're getting angry. Why? Why are you angry? That's not your problem. The person needs someone to be a keen listener. Someone can help them to redirect their thoughts. Because sometimes when you're angry, you're not thinking straight. They don't need you to be angry with them. Someone is going through whatever emotional trauma. They need you to be strong. They don't need you to constantly remind them, oh, this horrible thing has happened to you. What a tragic thing. Oh my goodness. You can't encourage people to stay in that dark place. Otherwise, you're doing them no good. And sometimes we are in our dark place because it is necessary for us to go through that tunnel so that when we get to the light, we can truly appreciate it. When we get to the top of the moment, the mountain, and you look down, you can appreciate the journey. A lot of what we see happening in our lives, in people's life, when you look closely, you understand that a lot of us are enablers. We allow other persons to stay in that dark place. We allow people to stay in that valley, and we sort of praise them and commend them on how great they can mourn and how long they can mourn. And if someone doesn't cry and show you that they're in tears and they're suffering, you don't believe that they're hurt. But the fact that I want you to understand how much I'm hurting, but by showing you all this negative thing all the time, says more about me than you. Because some of the thing that you're going through, you're supposed to work through it on your own, and you share after the fact to show one thing and one thing only, that I went through this thing and so can you. I could cry you a river. You can't change it, my circumstance. Because whatever I'm going through, and even if money is required, until I can figure that out myself, until I can appreciate the value of this money, I'll get it and still not sort my life out, still be unhappy, still be miserable. So I can't take on other people's problem to the point where I cannot sleep anymore. I just cannot do that. And I cannot get emotional about your own personal things unless I'm going to listen to your story and have you think and brainstorm with you, because ultimately I shouldn't be giving you the answers. You should be able to find the answers, but we can brainstorm. We can support each other, of course. When we're done talking, you should leave this situation feeling better. I don't care what happens. You ask anybody that knows me. Whether someone died for you, or you're going through emotional problems, or you're going through a breakup, you will not get off that phone with me until you laugh. I guarantee you, have something that makes you feel better. So regardless of what you're going through, no matter how terrible it is, you can overcome it. You can find a way out. You can learn how to understand that this thing that you're going through is temporary. The only time anything is permanent is when someone dies. And it's not even, because you now transcend into that spiritual realm. You might not be there physically anymore, but spiritually you're there. And I know it's not that easy to process and say that when your loved one is not around. Of course, I understand that. I'm just saying that no matter how much we love somebody, when they're not in your life anymore, you eventually make peace with it. No matter how things are hard for you financially, you still get by. As long as you wake up the next day, there's still hope. And this is what I want to say to my men that listen to me, men, older men and younger men alike. I want you to understand that sometimes when you're going through financial problems, buckle down, man. Pull up your bootstraps, man. Sometimes you keep that stuff to yourself. We all have financial problems, but our young men need to understand now that, something about you need to change that thing where you always want someone to rescue you, someone to fix this for you. Sometimes you're going to have to fix the thing yourself. Huh? Sometimes you just have to man up and say, right now, I can't afford that lobster. And honestly, I don't know why people always use lobster as a sign of good food. Because truthfully speaking, no offense to you, but that stuff, when I look at a lobster, I just don't know how someone could consume that. But forgive me, if that's what you like, it's what you like. It's your thing. But, my thing is you might not be able to have what you consider to be the great lobster fest. And you think your world is falling apart. It's not falling apart. You're not able to get the outfit that you want to wear, the house that you want to live in. We are now entering a time when people are saying they're suffering because they have an outdoor toilet and that they live in a board house. And I'm sorry, many of us grew up in these kind of things. I didn't grow up in a board house, but I remember the first home I lived in, it was made from sticks and they had mud on the outside of it. Those were not the old houses. I think it had stones. They mixed something like what do you call it? Marl. And in between it was sticks. And when I look back at my childhood, that was beautiful. Nowadays, people are trying to tell you that someone is suffering because they don't have an indoor kitchen. That's a lie. Because when I go home and I go to my husband's place, there's no greater exciting thing to do than to put those stones outside with the pieces of wood and light it and cook outside. I'm camping, falling asleep outside under the almond tree is an experience that I've had, and is one that is a memory that I love. And someone said, when you have a choice, that's not great. Excuse me. I remember those days when we had to take those bottle and you had to light the wicker in it and you had to go to the toilet that was outside, out there in the bushes. One of these days, I'm going to give you a story time about that. So the things that people are looking to show me to say that I should lose my night's sleep over, it's ridiculous. I had a family member who was building a house. She was building a house. And I was trying to do something for myself, not on the scale that she was doing it. And what she was doing is calling me on the day when she should pay her workers and say, I don't have the money to pay my workers. And Dum Dum over here would send money to her to go pay her workers and abandon my own thing that I have to do. That was not her wickedness. That was my stupidity. Giving away my last dime to somebody and going without and then praying to some invisible being to return that to me. It's crazy. Having a partner that clearly demonstrates, I don't even like you, because people don't have to say, I don't love you for you to see. The person doesn't like you because the things that they're doing to you, they couldn't like you. And you allow them to dump on you year in, year out. These are things that I have done in the past because I didn't preserve my energy. I didn't protect myself. And so what we blame other folks for most of the time is our own fault, our own doing, in the sense that we allow it. Just imagine any terrible thing that happens in this world. It can only continue and go on because we allow it. Every disrespect, every inequality, anything that disrupts our peace, we allow. So rather than focus your energy on the big thing out there and you're saying, I can't change it, change you. Work on you. Instead of being angry with the world, find out not how to be angry with yourself, but how to say, how can I move from this place where I got no peace? And this is not the time to solve the world's problem. It's a time to attend to what is going to build you and make you a better person, make you have more peace. You got all these things and you're still not happy because you got no peace. And so as I, wrap this session up with you, I'm saying to you, the onus is on you to find peace. Remember, there are a lot of very miserable people in the world, and they'll do every and anything to make sure that you are miserable. There are a lot of lonely people in the world, and their thought that you are not lonely is something that upsets them. They're going to, do things to bring chaos to your life. In the age of technology, when we think, oh, wonderful, these are great devices, and yet we're so lonely. And the more we look at it, the more we're being divided by, saying, stay away from each other, for whatever reason, whether it's because there's disease in the world or, it doesn't serve the interests of the few anymore. Can't pay your bill the way you used to. You can't do banking the way you used to. Everywhere you go, they tell us do it online. The only time people don't tell you that your money is no good is when they want it. But they don't even want to, spend time to take it from you in a way that makes it easy for you. No, you still have to put it out, and you have to pay to put it out. Okay? So people who used to be isolated, people who used to be unhappy, people who used to be lonely, these ones who are miserable, they're going to come to make sure you're miserable. And you have to make sure that you protect yourself. You're the one who have to insulate yourself in such a way that, after a while, if someone doesn't understand that you're on the path to finding more peace and joy in your life, they'll say you're selfish. They'll look at you as if something is wrong with you. But you can't focus on that either. It's not about what they think about you. It's about what you think about yourself. So on that note, I'll wrap it up and I'll say to you, be blessed. Stay blessed.